Good afternoon, everybody. I'd like to introduce you to Charlie Shiels, CEO of Arrow Excel, a two-person delivery business. Thank you, Charlie, for joining us.
No worries, David. It's interesting to be here.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Can you tell us about your business and what you do?
Yes, so Arrow Excel are one of the largest shared user network two-person delivery companies in the UK, which is a bit of a mouthful, I accept. We deliver the big stuff. You know, there whether it's furniture, American fridge freezers, general white goods, large televisions. Arrow Excel are one of a very small number of companies in quite a niche segment of the home delivery market. And we've got the largest network in the UK. Got some 100 trading clients, and it's what we do. We're pretty good at it. We work hard at it, and it's an interesting sector.
Oh, thank you. And do you do, obviously you mentioned you do sofas and TVs. Would you do things like washing machines and that sort of stuff as well?
Yeah, in a way, I've sort of categorized. We have 7 different categories of product we move. So white goods, obviously washing machines, tumble dryers, fridge freezers, etc. Brown goods, televisions. And it's interesting, the world of television, in my world in the parcel sector, the biggest TV you'd see is 36, 42 inch. We're now delivering 75, 85, 105-inch TVs to the world. So you've got brown goods, exercise equipment, lots of exercise equipment moves around the UK, garden furniture, garden products, swings, slides, that kind of item, bedroom furniture, mattresses, bedding, and then living room furniture, sofas, settees, chairs, etc., etc. So it's, interesting, quite diverse range of products, but all have one category. They're big items. They need 2 people to deliver them and install them when required in the house.
And also, I suppose on the back of that, you've probably got goods going to consumers, but also coming from consumers as well, yeah?
Yeah, there's certainly, there's lots of collections and swaps done at the time of delivery. Some people buy a washing machine and want their old washing machine collected. Some people buy a washing machine and want it connected and their old washing machine collected. Some don't. And the interesting is sort of, there's a legislation planned for future years where the recycling of goods and reusing goods is becoming more prevalent, and it's going to be quite an interesting area of growth for for every figment and sector of logistics, but in particular the two-person world is, we'll be getting busier in that area.
Oh, good. And we'll probably cover that off a bit when we talk about the green transition. I know it's not completely in that, but there's, there is that pressure for everyone to move that way forward. What brought you into the logistics sector? Yeah,
that's a question right there. Like everyone else, I don't think anyone brought me into it. I think I fell into it. I think I started life many, many years ago as a young apprentice engineer, truck mechanic. Ended up working in engineering management and fleet engineering, and become, work my way up the sort of chain of command in that area. And in the end, the natural move is into operations and more operationally led leadership roles, which is how I got to where I am. So, all those years ago, young Charlie was a Bedford truck mechanic in Bedfordshire, and loved every minute of it, quite frankly. There's another life where I could still be doing that now, bizarrely. But it's a great industry, and I've always said the industry is a meritocracy. Doesn't matter what your background is, doesn't matter what you've done. If you can make things happen and get things done and get on with people, there's a career for you in logistics. It's an amazing industry, amazing sector, and I've loved every minute of it. I mean, I did a business degree along the way and all sorts of other stuff, but the reality is I started off as an engineer and still have my tools to this day.
Oh, well done. And thank you for saying that. Summarised it really well, because in some ways, someone once said to me, logistics is organised chaos in some ways.
David, I don't know what, it's everyone I speak to. I meet so many people and it's such an amazing, and I mean it. I think that I can't tell you how high I think of the industry we work in. It's given me a great career. It's given me an interesting life. It's enabled me to provide my family, I see people throughout this industry who've done really, really well. It's a hard-working industry. You don't meet many people in it who don't work hard, but I love that. I meet people now. I see lots of young people now, and I think to myself, you're going to do really well for yourself, because they're They get on with people. They're smart. They're good communicators, and that's what operations is about. Operations. It's not MBA stuff. It's not rocket science. We move stuff, don't we? And we move it as efficiently and cost effectively as possible. And I'm just surrounded. I have been surrounded in every company I've been in by amazingly talented and hardworking people.
No, thank you, Charlie. I really appreciate that. And what do you see as the challenges for your sector over the next 2 to 3 years?
I think our challenge. I thought about that. Our challenge number 1, 2, and 3 at the moment, I think, is the economy. I really do. I think the biggest challenge we face, and our sector faces, and I'm sure lots of other people in logistics face, is the retail world struggling. And we service the retail world in all of its facets and sort of framework and structures. And the great British consumers, for a number of reasons, well documented. The economy, inflation has been out of control, interest rates that still haven't dropped yet, consumer confidence and consumer spending aren't where they have been. We're very, very linked to the housing market. You buy a new house, you want a new suite of furniture, you want a new dining table, you want some, it's a house building. It's great to see the new Chancellor of the Exchequer talking up house building, which is a great thing because all of those things. So I think economic stability, hopefully interest rates drop this year, and just people feeling a bit good about the country, and the energy bills coming down and their mortgage payments coming down will help the feel good factor, and people start spending a little bit of money again, which consumerism is the lifeblood of the British economy, isn't it?
Absolutely.
And really, honestly, I could say, I sit and think about industry specific, because you probably want an answer about industry specific challenges. Listen, driver shortages to driver shortages. We have to train more drivers. The industry either needs to face into that or it's going to be in trouble. And we have our apprentice schemes, but it's, skill shortages are an issue. But, the number one, as you asked me the biggest, the number one problem at the moment is, the economic cycle. And we're seeing that with record number of logistics and distribution and haulage and transportation businesses going into administration. It's really tough out there at the moment for lots of companies, and I feel for them. I really do.
Yeah, you're absolutely correct. And hopefully, conversely, what do you see as the opportunities for the sector? It may be, as the economy picks up, but are there other opportunities over the next 3 to 5 years for the sector? Yeah,
well, economic recovery aside, that's a given. We need that to happen. I saw some interesting statistics the other day about the sort of growth of e-commerce companies in our sector. The bigger ticket item and the 2-person sector has lagged a little bit behind other sectors such as fashion, electronic goods. So there's definitely, the data I've seen shows a growth in startups and people moving into the sector where furniture, garden furniture, there's a sort of growth expected in company startup areas. I think the circular economy is going to be an opportunity because, again, without getting too technical, there's new legislation planned that's coming in 25 and 26, where when you buy a new washing machine or a new white goods, there are questions about the old one. What are you doing with it? There's going to be almost an expectation that you do something with it. That's going to drive volumes. I've seen some interesting migrations recently from the pallet world, which is a great sector in our industry. I appreciate that. But curbside deliveries, there are companies that we've now sort of talking to that want a bit more than just a curbside delivery. They want a better consumer experience. An item can be delivered on a pallet, and that's great, or it can be delivered in the house, which more and more people tend to want, because you can deliver, there are many things that can be delivered on a pallet. Some things need to be on a pallet. So again, we've seen 1 or 2 interesting approaches in recent times from people who have delivered on pallets. So, economic recovery, growth in company startups in this area, and maybe some interesting sort of migrations away from people who want a better experience on larger items being delivered are all opportunities, I think.
No, thank you. And you mentioned this legislation. I'm not aware of that. Will that legislation, is that tied into the manufacturers, so it puts the legal onus on those, and then that feeds down to us consumers? How does it work?
David, I think it's clearly an important agenda for the planet, without getting too too into our ESG agenda. But I think every single electronic goods, from a mobile phone upwards, they're looking long and hard at how we can reuse, recycle, reduce the waste of it. Clearly, the sector I'm involved in is the bigger ticket items. So whether it's end of life furniture, certainly the legislation I'm referring to talks about white goods and that kind of component. There will be, if you buy a washing machine next year, at the moment there's no legislation that forces a question to be asked about have you got an old one? It's like when is there one? If you're buying a brand new one, you've got a brand new house. There's not a conversation to be had, but there's going to be a question about the old one, and it's almost going to encourage you to think about it and do something about it. And it's the manufacturers that will have to ask the question. Oh, you're buying a new washing machine? That's great. We're delighted. Have you got an old one? What are you doing with it? Can we help you with that? Which is where Arrow and our sector will come in. But again, we're working with people already where we whether it's furniture, or we do a lot with a very sophisticated tent company at the moment in terms of refurbishment. We're already in that sector, and it's certainly something we will look to grow our expertise in, grow our knowledge in, and be ready for any additional business streams that come on board.
Good, that's very interesting. Thanks for going through that with us. What are people not talking about in your sector that maybe they should be talking about?
Again, I think the thing that isn't talked about enough is, I think, the cyber risks. I think it really is the growth in cyber risks. And again, if I'm honest, I mix with the general logistics world. I don't necessarily mix with our sector, but I've certainly been at some events recently where we're talking about cyber attacks, ransomware. There have been some very big companies in our sector who have been had some real problems and been subject to horrendous ransomware attacks. So there's a lot of we're putting an awful lot of work and effort into that, and it's whether it's our accreditation with Cyber Essentials, which is an external recognition of the work you've done. But regardless of how much work you've done, the risk is the ability to get something wrong is fairly easy, and the risk associated with that is pretty grim. I'm sure this. It only takes on one employee to click on an email link incorrectly. Doesn't matter how much work you've done, to cause you some serious problems. So, there's an awful lot of that going on at the moment. Most of the sort of other CEOs I talk to are aware of it. Even this week, I had a conversation with one of our big retail clients who, I think it's a big problem, a big risk, and everyone should be all over it. And I only hope and assume they are. And I don't see it mentioned in many tenders. I think that's the point when you say what isn't being talked about. We've had a couple of tenders in recently to tender for some business. We've had to point out, you're not asking about cybersecurity. You're not asking about data protection. Surely you should be, because it's a strength of ours. It's something that surprises me. Oh yeah, good point. We'll put it on the tender. It should be almost front of mind, in truth. Because when it goes wrong, as we've seen with some others in our sector, it's grim.
Yeah. I hear anecdotally in my sort of day job about those sort of things and how it's affected. And obviously, I know some of the companies have been affected, and there's possibly other companies that we don't come into the public domain do get affected. With that in mind, it's very interesting. Do you think that some of the associations in pallets, in parcels, in two-person delivery should almost own that, or there should be a overall, go-to organisation that can advise best practice for everyone?
Well, there is the government agencies that we're aware of. Obviously, the government are very strong in this area, and there are lots of government agencies you can go to for advice, David. But there isn't a two-person sector organisation. Certainly, the Logistics UK have had it on some of their recent executive meetings. Cybersecurity is on the agenda at that level. I'm sure if you attend an RHA meeting, it will also be on the agenda. So it's certainly been talked about, but it's also an area of competitiveness. So, you've got to be careful what you talk about and what you don't talk about. That everyone, at the end of the day, we all got to look after our own businesses, haven't we? And however we do that, it's entirely up to us. But there is certainly some good practice out there that can be advised, and we have specialists. We have a security operations center within our business, and we have some amazing partners we work with who give us the advice and support we need. But listen, that's what I don't see lots of people talking about it. It's starting to bubble up a little bit, but it's an area that's only going to grow, and it's frustration and problems in my simple operational view.
Yeah, and probably to the wider community as well. It could be, data protection, like you say, it needs to be. It's probably an unseen problem, isn't it? Until it's seen.
David, as part of our education, with every single colleague in our Excel had cyber training. Anyone with an IT login has had cyber training, but we also talk about in your personal life. If you get an email or a text message, there's so much of it out there at the moment. So it's a good, it's a good way to get under people's skins and into their brains about it. Say you need to watch it in the corporate world. You need to watch it in the personal world as well, because there are untold stories about people getting robbed and money stolen from them, and it's just horrendous. There are some horrendous, horrible people out there that are taking advantage of lots of good folk. So again, it's a personal issue for all of us. We need to guard our gates. It's a corporate issue as well.
Definitely. Okay, thank you. And how is the green transition that everyone talks about particularly affecting the two-person delivery marketplace?
Well, I think it's a game of two halves, if I'm being honest with you, and it's easy in some areas and more problematic than some other sectors. So we're fully ESG aware and on board with our focus. I see monthly reports on our energy use, our gas and electricity use, our water use, our recycling rates. I know that 95% of our waste does not go to landfill. A very small percentage does, but we're working on that. Solar panels on 2 of our buildings. We're BREEAM certified, which is an environmental standard that's really high on 2 of our warehouses. But the elephant in the room is the vehicle for us. The one of the sort of facets of our sector is the weight of the product you carry.
Yes.
You've got a van full of fashion and a van full of jeans or trainers. It's pretty lightweight. You've got a van full of American fridge freezers and sofas and washing machines. It's actually pretty heavy. So one of the downsides of certainly the electric generation of vehicles that's out there is the battery weight and the payload you get. So I need 3 ton on a 7.5 tonner. We need 3 ton of payload to do what we do. So the fact that it's not that we haven't looked, we have looked. You get a big payroll deficit in an electric vehicle. So that at the moment, that's certainly holding us back. And don't get me wrong, they're horrendously expensive. There are range issues, there are charging issues, there are payload issues, there are maintenance issues. So we as a company are working hard on all of our 7.5 tonners of the latest iteration. They're all less than 2 years old. They're all the latest Euro standard. It's about minimizing diesel usage for us. Good ESG carbon management is low diesel usage as far as we're concerned. And I think I read this week or last week that 95% of new trucks registered last year were diesel still. So I've got a hybrid car. Lots of people have electric cars, hybrid cars. It's great. They're great. On the commercial vehicle side, above 3.5 ton, there's still a little way to go, I think. Lots of work going on, lots of interesting debate. There's still a way to go before the truck world can change and is ready for change, or is allowed to change with the products available to them. Yeah.
And also with the encouragement, pressures and expectations from your partners, delivery your companies you work on behalf of, they're probably trying genuinely to look greener and trying to push that downstream to you and all their suppliers. That must be quite a conundrum for everyone, isn't it? For you and them.
Yeah, again, David, I don't have too many people pushing us. Again, if I'm being honest here, why wouldn't I be? We have conversations. They ask the question. Most people understand that. Most people understand the difficulty of the products we carry. Again, if you're carrying fashion or lightweight or iPhones or that sort of product, you can get a 3.5 ton van and it's great, right? But again, when you need the capacity, the weight and the cube that we use, we're weight and cube obsessed in this sector, then it's not so easy, and thankfully people are very, very pragmatic at the moment. And it is the economic cycle. The economic cycle is difficult. What people want at the moment is low pricing. When the economic cycle turns and the world gets a bit easier and the economy picks up a little bit and we're seeing growth, then people start to look at the nicer things. And at the moment, it seems to me it's cash, not carbon, right? And and that's just the way it is in 2024. I don't doubt in 25, 26, 27 it'll change. But everyone is watching their cash, because cash flow is the name of the game in 2024, and protecting your cash.
Okay, thank you. And since you've you've been in logistics a long time, like I have. Since you joined the sort of two-person delivery sector, what things have surprised you most about the two-person delivery sector?
So I've been in, my background, I've been in home delivery now for nearly 30 years, and I've seen it evolve from sort of 30 years ago, the world was B2B. It's hard to talk to people now and say there wasn't the internet. When I was a lad, there wasn't the internet, and it was B2B. We were delivering records to high street. Very much, the company I was with at the time was a B2B high street delivery company. And, all that changed in about, when was it, 2006, with the, 5-6 birth of the internet. And I remember sitting in the boardroom, having a conversation about, can we make any money from this home delivery lark? And another CEO famously of one of the competitions said, there's no money in home delivery. And that took them down the path they went down. And DPD, my employer at the time, a very smart CEO, said, let's have a look at it. Let's all go and have a look and see if we can figure out how to make this and do it well, which the rest is now history. So I've been in home delivery forever and ever. I moved into the world of two-person delivery and thought, well, that's home delivery, isn't it? Absolutely not. It is and it isn't. Okay, I accept that. You go in people's houses, there's a responsibility, there's an intimacy about that. There's, we go into your bedrooms, we go into your living rooms, we go into your kitchens, and I take that responsibility really seriously. It's it's a big thing. The world of parcels delivers to your doorstep. Lockers nowadays, safe place nowadays. Neighbour probably less so nowadays. But we're actually in your house. You got dogs running around your feet. You got kids running around your feet. You got Mrs. Miggin's Ming vase on the sideboard table that you can easily knock over, and it just is, So all of our employed drivers are police record check, for example, just to sort of add some comfort to people that this is how seriously we take it, and it can go wrong. It's easier to go wrong, and by that I mean your first delivery of the day is a sofa and it won't fit through the front door. Now, in the world of parcels, that doesn't happen. It's sort of delivered. The first delivery we do, you can't get this. You're spending half an hour trying to get the sofa through the front door. Well, and people expect you to take windows out and door frames out, and you don't do that sort of thing nowadays. But that messes up your whole delivery schedule for the day. So, the parcel world now, we can deliver in a 15-minute window. We can't do that. Or the first delivery you go to is a pensioner, and they got a washing machine, and you look at the plumbing, and it's 50 years old. Our crews, which is the right thing to do, say, right, can I fix this? Can I leave this pensioner with a washing machine that works? And they might spend half an hour doing a bit of plumbing and sorting something out for her. But that's the nature of the beast. Might be the first delivery, might be the fourth delivery, might be the seventh delivery. But every day is these crews. We talk about dynamic risk assessments. We've always talked about this in home delivery. There's nothing like it in our world, is there? That you don't know a house until you get to it. You might get it in the front door and not in the kitchen door. That's the it's it's still home delivery. I accept that. It's just different. It's more challenging. It's arguably more interesting. You could be a driver in a parcel delivery company and deliver 130, 150 packages a day. Or you work for our Excel and deliver 35 to 40. But everyone you're talking to people, everyone you're meeting people, there's a personal interaction, and the very often the big ticket item being delivered, they're delighted with it. You're rarely delighted with a pair of jeans. It's nice to get a new pair of jeans, but when you got your new 3-piece suite delivered, you just decorated your living room, or your new washing machine's been delivered because the old one didn't work. People are normally, it's a, they've spent a lot of money in it. It's a big investment, so it's just different. It's different. How you make consumers feel is important to what we do. The OTIF world, on time, in full, delivering. Well, we're in your house. If we work hard with our crews, and if we could get them to say they've delivered a sofa, it's sitting there in the corner, and they say to the consumer, "Well, what a lovely colour that is, Mrs. Miggins." I'd be delighted. We can get our crews to do that, because it's just a nice thing. Oh, I really like that sofa. Isn't that a nice sofa? And that's what we aspire to be like. It's not, they're not drivers. They're customer service agents.
Ambassadors, probably ambassadors.
And we work with the bluest of blue chip companies, and they expect us to be this way. That we have this sort of mad tripartite relationship where, a client pays us money to deliver a product to a consumer who pays us nothing, but we put all of our effort and attention into the consumer, because if we get that right, the client will be happy, won't they? Is our business thinking,
Thank you. That really summarised that really well. Thank you. And the question I'm asking everyone, we've got a new Prime Minister now, but if you could speak to the Prime Minister, then what would you ask them to do to assist your business to grow and flourish?
Well, I suppose it's, again, I'd ask him about the industry, because it isn't just Arrow, it's our industry that I love Arrow, don't get me wrong, but I think our industry is an important part of supporting and delivering economic growth. The logistics world is an important part of our economic growth. So work with us, listen to us. We do know what we're talking about. We've got some great institutions, RHA, Logistics UK Warehousing Association, the Cold Chain Federation. These are great people who know what they're talking about. Listen to us, talk to us. Keep fuel duty in check would be lovely. Just tell us what it's going to be for the next 3 to 5 years. Get the highways agency to get the road network looking good, get the local councils to fix the potholes, all of which cause us grief, and help us get educated and motivated youngsters out of further education into the industry, because we're a great industry for kids to come in and who can then have a great and interesting career with us. Whatever they want to do, they want to be in HR or IT or operations or marketing or finance. We've got careers for everyone, haven't we? And just so much more interesting than so many other industries, I think.
Wonderful. Thank you again, Charlie, for your great views and your overview of the two-person delivery sector. I really appreciate it. Thank you very much for your time.